Hey girls, welcome back to the True Feminine Podcast. I'm so excited to do this episode today. I know it's been a while, it's been a minute, but I want to drop this episode because after running the True Femme Academy and just having so many clients, I just wanted to take a little quest, little research quest, okay, if you will. And I decided to just do some research on, what's going on with the men on the dating scene. Like, how are the men feeling? What's going on in their minds? What is the temperature for them? What is their experience like with dating apps and just in the modern dating world? And it is very fascinating, the things that came up. And as you girls know, if you've been in my world, a big part of what I like to do is to really understand men and to try our best to understand men, understand how they operate, understand what they're thinking. And the more that we can understand them, the better understanding we just have overall of how we can show up better on the dating scene. So I titled this episode called Why Men Are Giving Up on Dating. Oh, I hate to say that, but it is so true. What I found all over the interwebs is that men are actually just kind of quitting. They're just giving up on dating in general. And I'm going to get into that. I'll give you a lot of points to that. But it was crazy, the different sources and studies and Reddit forums and such that were coming up around that topic that I was looking into. So, but I also added on the title, and what women don't see, what we're missing, where our blind spots are. So without further ado, let's jump right into this episode. All right, so first of all, men aren't giving up on dating because they don't want love, okay? Let's just be clear about that. Men, like women, desire love, okay? They're giving up because trying has started to feel worse than being alone. I'm going to say that again. They're giving up because trying has started to feel worse than being alone. And most women have no idea it's happening. Why? Why is that? Well, I'm just going to say this, because oftentimes as women, think that that's happening to us, right? Like, and I want to preface this episode before I get into all of this, because everything I'm about to share with you that men are feeling and saying, probably every single one of you girls listening to this are all going to say, are you kidding me? I feel the exact same way. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. So resist the urge to, I would say, make this episode specifically about you, about us women, because we can save that for another day. But resist the urge to do that, because what I want you to do is be open-minded to just actually hear and understand what the men are saying and what their overall experience tends to be. And again, this is not every man. Of course, there is like a little top 10% that probably, maybe hasn't given up, is showing up. I mean, you know what I mean? There's nuance to this, right? But this is in general, meaning a high percentage of the population this is happening to, okay? All right. So, so where was I? I was just saying that, men, they're giving up because trying has started to feel worse than being alone. And also because from the outside, it looks like men just stopped trying, right? But what you don't see is how many times they tried before they decided to disappear, okay? You don't see how many times they've actually tried and it didn't work out. All right, so there's a shift happening in dating right now, and it's quiet. I wonder if you girls would agree with that. A lot of people are expressing and experiencing sort of like a quiet lull in dating and maybe even in the dating apps. And again, lulls do not last forever. They come and go. So hang in there, girls. But men aren't loudly quitting, okay? They're just disengaging. And that's why so many women are asking the question, where are all the good men? Meanwhile, those same men are thinking, what's the point anymore? So this is what men are saying, and they're thinking, I'm just kind of quietly disengaging, and I'm asking the question to myself, what is the point of this? Okay. So I want to talk about what men are experiencing, as I mentioned, but invisibility, men described their experience as just feeling straight up invisible. So the average man's dating experience is not abundant. It's quiet. It's actually pretty silent for them. They're getting few matches. They complain. They say that they get few matches. They get few replies, and effort goes nowhere. So again, this is what men are saying. They're experiencing micro rejection, which is huge. Okay. Lots and lots and lots of micro rejection. So it's not one rejection. It's dozens of small rejections. Okay. So it looks like ignored messages, conversations dying, being overlooked. That slowly erodes confidence. Okay. And I'm sure a lot of you girls maybe also feel this way, but again, let's stay focused on what the men are saying, okay, and how their experience has been, okay. Ghosting. Men are also experiencing lots and lots of ghosting. So things seem to be going well, and then she disappears. No closure creates confusion and eventually emotionally shuts people down. Again, I know this is something similar that everybody experiences, but let's stay focused. So competition. Many men feel like they're competing for a very small window of attention. Whether that's fully accurate or not, it feels real, and that is shaping their behavior. Okay, so the competition is real, you guys. And they're feeling, and you know what's crazy? I want to sidebar here for a second because there was a guy in my neighborhood, and he's a cute guy, good looking dude. And you know, he's got a lot going for him, I would say. And he just kind of vented to me, which is kind of funny. Mind you, I live on a golf course and I know everybody who has a dog. So this particular person has a dog. I see him regularly. You get to know all the dog peeps, if you know what I mean. So, you know, he knows I'm a dating coach. So I think he started like telling me about his dating experience. And he was saying, he was just saying, oh my gosh, he's like, it's so crazy because I have some friends who are girls and they get on the apps and like, I don't want to be mean, but like my one friend, she's not even like, I don't know, she's very plain, like whatever, like nothing crazy. And she just gets tons and tons and tons of matches and likes and just like, it looks like hundreds of them. And he's like, and I get on there and I get like none, like actually like none. Like I don't get likes. Like I don't get like, I barely get any likes, you know? And he's like, I guess I get some matches, but you know, it just feels like I'm not getting any likes. And again, like this guy is a good looking guy. And I actually was kind of surprised when he told me that. I was like, oh, that's interesting, you know? But he was expressing his frustration with online dating and all these things. And, he actually said that this one girl liked his profile or picture or something. And he's like, oh, he felt like that took a lot of overwhelm out of everything. And he asked her out on a date. They went on a date and they really like meshed and stuff and it went well. So do you see what I mean? Like, I thought that was fascinating. So in light of what the men are generally saying about their online dating experience, I also had just a random person in my neighborhood also tell me very, very similar things. And so, okay, so that's what I want to say about that because I have a lot to get through here. Men are also saying and reporting that they are experiencing burnout. So they say that eventually the effort turns into exhaustion. So Men are adapting to that burnout by pulling back, lowering their efforts, or just quitting entirely. Think about this though. Men lowering their efforts is them self-preserving. It is them protecting themselves. It is them feeling super uncertain, maybe of themselves, maybe of what an outcome might bring if they put a lot of effort in. Because I can guarantee you there are so many men who have taken girls out on probably some nice dates and good dates, and those girls said, no, I'm not interested. And I want to always present this question to you. If you were in the guy's shoes and you knew that you were responsible for planning everything, picking the date and paying for that date, let's say it was you going out to a nice dinner and you had to spend, let's say $100, maybe even $150, and you planned everything. And then at the end of it, the girl says, I'm not interested. A man might try doing something about that one or two more times. They might try that one or two more times. And then after that, they might say, whoa, the return on this investment is terrible. I'm dropping like hundreds of dollars here on girls, like not reciprocating, not wanting to see me again, this is starting to actually become a waste of my time and money. And so now I think the safest thing for me to do is to come at this with way lower effort. Now, that can be frustrating for us girls. But again, if we understand where they're coming from, it may not be that these men don't want to give effort to you or to a woman they're interested in. But it's just that they are so burnt out. I just think they're like, I really put myself in a man's shoes, and I thought about this and I was like, I swear, if I actually had to drop Benjamins, like I'm talking 70 to $100 on a date and plan it and do all of that and risk asking out and taking my time, all of that, you best believe me as a man would be so cautious to just jumping at the bit to asking girls out. And I might even change my strategy to maybe I'll just go get coffee or maybe I'll go for a walk, because that is probably a better bet in this situation. Because what if this girl does not even like me? What if I don't like her? What if we don't mesh? So in the modern dating scene, I personally see absolutely nothing wrong with doing a walk, something simple, free, or like a $7 coffee, okay? There's nothing in my book that is wrong with that. I actually think that's the best thing to do, because you're two complete strangers who do not know each other. You don't know if you want to leave this date soon, and vice versa, okay? So it's going to be the best thing for you guys to just do something low key at first. If you decide that you're aligned, you like each other, and he wants to ask you out again and you want to say yes, then if he likes you, I promise you, after you say yes for a second date, he's going to up his game for a second date. So do not worry. Don't think, just because he does a coffee date, I'm just going to be stuck in coffee date land. That's not necessarily true. Okay. So I want to put that out there. All right. I need to move along. I want to talk about what women don't see. Like, what are we missing? Where's our blind spots? Okay. Okay. So a lot of women see men as like not trying, right? They aren't trying. So women see the low effort, and men feel like effort hasn't worked. So women talk about their online dating experience and they say, men, all I see is low effort guys. And men say, I feel like the effort hasn't worked. So therefore I am correct. I'm not showing up with effort, right? So men and women are having very different realities. I would say with crossover, of course. But anyways, women are overwhelmed with options often. Okay. And I would go on to say, more overwhelmed. You might say, well, I only had 3 guys if you got 3 guys this week, the guy potentially only got one or two, one. Like they're always going to have less, right? Unless they're like some crazy psycho player or something like that. Like, I don't know, but like just the average guy, okay? Men are struggling. So women are overwhelmed with options. Men are struggling to get one, to get an option for them. So it's two completely different dating worlds happening, which was proven to me by my neighbor literally telling me that exact story. All right, that I mentioned earlier. So also this is having a major self-worth impact on men, and I want to talk about it. So for many men, dating apps are their only feedback loop. Okay, I want to say that again. For many men, dating apps are their only feedback loop. So no matches doesn't just mean no matches for a guy. It means I'm not good enough. That's what's happening to them. So it is the only feedback loop they have. Or let's say they go on a date and a girl's uninterested. Well, a guy is going to say, oh, I'm not good enough. Don't do that again. That's not safe. Don't ask a girl out. Don't take her out again. Because you could get totally screwed over, is how they feel. Okay. There is commitment confusion going on. So women say men don't want commitment, but many men feel they can't even get a chance at commitment, which is crazy, but this is what they are reporting. So, the man you're dating now, may not be, okay, so sorry. Let me back this up. So what's happening as like a result of this is that you're often meeting a man after they have burnt out. Do you know what I'm saying? So the man that you're dating now may not be how he actually started out, right? So let's say you go on a date with a guy and it seems like he's low effort or whatever, but the reality is that that's not actually who when he first started dating. He was high effort, but now you're meeting him after burning out. And that is a reality. So again, this is just to bring us into awareness that men are also having very hard experiences. And so we have to just understand that rather than sort of demonize them for it. Okay, so both sides are frustrated. The men and the women are both frustrated. And both sides have very valid reasons. So women want safety, consistency, emotional depth. And men would like opportunity. They would like appreciation. They would love some results, right? Because they want to win. They want to be successful. They don't want to feel like a failure. But instead of understanding each other, we're reacting to each other. Wouldn't you say, girls? It's like we don't take time to like understand. We take time to react and sort of point fingers and get frustrated. So, what can women do? What can we do here? So this is the most important part, is that because I really don't want this like podcast episode to leave you feeling discouraged, because I know hearing a lot of like what men in general are saying out there can feel like, oh, darn, dang, like, well, great. No wonder it feels like a lull. No wonder this is happening. Okay, so is online dating even worth it? I know those thoughts are going through your mind, and I want to say, yes, it is still worth it, but I want to always try to leave you with things that you can practically do. And again, if we understand each other better, we will not be so quick to write people off. We won't be so fast to just like get mad and frustrated and just, oh, this isn't working so quickly, So that's what I'm gonna say. I want this to make you more powerful in dating. Okay. All right. So number one, I want you to start rewarding effort. Okay. Not just outcomes, but effort. So a lot of men feel like effort goes unnoticed. That's what they're saying, right? So what this could look like: if he plans a date, acknowledge it. If he communicates, respond warmly. If he shows consistency, reinforce that by acknowledging, I love that you're like that. I notice you're like that. That makes you different. So people repeat what gets rewarded. So Again, if he plans a date, oh, thank you so much for doing that. That's so kind of you. It's so nice. It's refreshing when a guy takes action or takes initiative. I really love that about you, or I noticed that about you. So thank you could be a good response. Number 2, slow down your filtering just a little, girls, just a little. Okay. So a lot of women are filtering men out extremely fast. So it's like, oh, one awkward message from a guy, one imperfect moment, one small turn off, and boom, we're writing them off. I'm shutting down. I'm getting out of here, right? But connection doesn't always show up instantly, okay? So you want to shift from, is he perfect, to, is there potential worth exploring? Okay, so let's look at number 3. So look for trajectory, not perfection. So instead of asking, is he amazing right now? Is he perfect? Is he meeting everything I want and need? Ask this instead. Is he growing? Is he trying? Is he showing up? So we want effort over polished, and intent over how smooth everything is. Like, what are his intentions? Okay, number 4, create space for men to feel safe too. I think this is a tough one for my girls because, we're always talking about how we women want to feel safe, and and how men desire to make us feel safe. And that is true. But it goes a long way if we can create space for men to also feel safe. Okay. So men fear rejection. They just don't always talk about it. And I think this is something I could just spend hours talking about. How I think we forget so quickly how much rejection affects a man and causes them to shut down entirely and not try. And so it really does affect them. Okay. So you can be, so what we can do instead, you could be responsive instead of cold. So we don't want to like fully ghost or anything like that. Show interest instead of waiting for perfection. So you can show interest. And so like, let's say he's not like being perfect, and you can still express interest, show interest. You could give positive feedback instead of just being quiet. So like look for opportunities to give positive feedback, to tell him something you noticed, to tell him something he did that made you feel good. And I talk about this a ton in my world. But like that is huge. It goes such a long ways. So you don't have to chase, but you can be inviting. And I think that is so key. That is so important. And number 5, don't reward low effort, but recognize good men early. So the danger right now is that low effort men, they oftentimes do get a lot of attention. It's like weird because sometimes we do pine after the guy who's giving low effort. I don't know why, but we do that. While good men get filtered out quietly. So it's like, he's a good guy, but he didn't grab my attention, or he didn't do something. So be careful of that. Ask yourself these questions instead. Is he consistent? Is he trying? Is he respectful? Those men are often overlooked, okay? The ones who are consistent, the ones who are trying, the ones who are respectful, not because they're bad, but because they're not flashy, right? They're not like turning your head. They're not making you laugh so hard and all the things. Oh my gosh, I have this thing in my world where I'm like, you girls, just like, there are so many guys who are decent looking or kind of cute or whatever, and they are just such little hidden gems, but you write them off because they weren't like witty enough or sarcastic or funny or whatever, but they could make an extremely good husband or a good partner in your life. And I just always want to encourage girls to not overlook some of those types of men because they are everywhere. Okay. You also want to understand what you're walking into. So the man you meet today might already be tired. And I sort of mentioned this earlier, but so instead of assuming he's low effort, consider he might be guarded from past experiences. I mentioned that a lot earlier, so I won't harp too much on this point. But just having that awareness alone can change how you interpret his behavior. So kind of show up with the lens of, you know what, he could just be tired. Like maybe he's not just low effort, he's just a little burnt out right now. Okay, number 7, be clear, not just selective. So a lot of women are selective, but not always clear. So clear looks like this. It's communicating what you want, being direct about interests. So not playing guessing games. Clarity creates connection faster than perfection will. So, communicating what you want. Like, don't be afraid to say, no, actually, I don't eat fish, or I don't eat that, I don't actually, or actually, hey, like, I would love, I'm not free today, but I am free, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday if you want to make something happen. Or, like, just anything you're interested in, like, just be yourself. That is essentially what this is. But also, like, yeah, that's what I'm going to say about that. Okay. All right. So men aren't giving up because they don't want love. This is what I said earlier, and I think it's worth saying again. They're giving up because trying stopped working for them. It just did. It stopped working. And women aren't struggling because they're asking for too much. They're struggling because they're navigating a broken system. Right? But here's the opportunity. If you understand what most people don't, you immediately stand out. Because in a dating world full of burnout, confusion, and defensiveness, the person who brings awareness, warmth, and intention almost always wins. Okay, so that's what I want to say there. So can you look for ways to be more inviting? Can you enter into this awareness? Can you actually say, okay, the feelings that I may be feeling right now about men in the dating scene and all of this and that, it doesn't feel very good to me. But let me stop and consider how it's feeling for the men. How much micro rejection they've been going through. How many girls are ghosting them. And then it sort of softens your heart to not be frustrated with them and instead to just say, okay, we are all desiring to find love, and it's okay if I'm not the right person for him, and it's okay if he's not the right person for me, but how can I honor him? How can I uplift him? How can I speak into the courage that it took for him to ask me on a date? Thank you so much for this date. Like, I just want to acknowledge, like, I know it is not easy to ask a girl out, and so I feel like you are so courageous, and I just see a level of confidence in you when, you're able to do that. And I just hope you never lose that, because honestly, it takes so much courage to ask a girl out and to go on a date. And so I really appreciate that about you. And we need more men to do that in this world. So thank you. So you could say something like that, But don't let this discourage you, girls. Don't let it keep you down. Just let it come into your awareness so that you can sort of empathize with the men. And maybe even when you're on dates and stuff, you can ask them yourself, is like, oftentimes a big question is like, oh, how's your dating experience been? Curiosity is a total love language. So you could just ask curious questions to the guys, or to the guys you were talking to. And you could just, even if it's just chatting, and you could say, how's your online dating experience been? Have you felt burnt out from it, or are you enjoying it? Has it been hard? I'm always curious to see and hear how it is for guys. How's it been for you? And you guys could have a conversation about that, and it could just open up a level of connection and understanding. And if a guy can express some of that, I think that's good for him. And also it positions you to feel like a safe place for him as well. So, and I think in a world where men are burnt out, they're tired, they're pulling away from dating, we want to be women who know how to encourage them without just being their personal cheerleader or mom, but just sort of dropping, being reciprocating, expressing what felt good when they did certain things. I think that's just super, super important. But I really want to bring this episode to you because it's just a research I've been doing, and I want to bring more episodes out on what we can do about all of this and how we can navigate this new dating world in 2026 so that we can also be super successful. And I think it will take a somewhat collective effort for us to build that, the courage back in men to an extent. But again, we don't want to like heavy lift for men, but we do want to say, okay, is there parts in my dating journey where I could leave a man better than I left him, kind of a thing? So it's probably a good question to leave you. It's been 30 minutes, so I'm going to jump off, but I hope this episode was helpful. If it was, go ahead and tag me on Instagram. Let me know you're listening to it. I love to see when you girls are actually listening and tuning in. And also, if you have questions, you can DM me questions if you'd like. I can't always get back to all of them, but it's always worth a try. And you can also, just find me on all social platforms if you are wanting me to follow up on this. And if you have any topics you want me to follow up with after listening to this episode, I'd love to hear it. So send them in, and I will talk to you soon. Love y'all. Bye.